Hi everybody, Alot, your resident road safety expert from Mobility Engineering, back again for another Q&A. Thank you very much for sending in your questions. We love those questions, keep them coming in. And as I always say with my trusty subscribe pillow, please hit the button that looks a little bit like this down there. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. We love your support around that, and once we get to that, we'll get rid of the pillow and we'll find something else to show you. So, let's get into today's question. So today's question is quite an interesting one. It's quite a very widely debated and talked about topic, and it's all around the types of seatbelts and restraints we need to use, particularly seatbelts, onto the occupant of a wheelchair occupant when they're transporting in the vehicle, when they're sitting in their wheelchair, right? So this applies to someone not sitting in a standard vehicle seat. The question is, I've heard that the laws for wheelchair occupants are not the same as the ones for non-wheelchair occupants, and a wheelchair occupant can wear lap-only seatbelts. That is not true, and there is multiple signals and parts of the law and standards that point to the fact that that is not true. And so what I want to do is kind of break that down for you guys and explain it all, and all the links to everything that I quote will be below as well. But before I get into that, I want to give you my own personal opinion and rant on that subject. It's a very passionate thing that we talk about here at Mobility Engineering. And the bottom line is that a lap-only belt is something that's from the 70s and 80s, and more 70s than 80s. And it is something that we know for a fact offers us a much lower level of safety than the over-the-shoulder lap and sash belt. So, in my opinion, it's intolerable that in 2019, a vehicle would be delivered to somebody in a wheelchair that has a lap-only belt. There is absolutely no excuse for not having a lap-only belt. You can have lap and sash belts. There is, in fact, we deal with a couple of suppliers and we distribute products in Australia, and there is at least 100 different variations of over-the-shoulder lap sash seatbelts you can get from all around the world that will fit a wheelchair occupant. So there is absolutely no excuse to not giving ultimate safety to a wheelchair occupant. As far as I'm concerned, everybody is equal. Everyone deserves the same level of safety. That is the number one core value at Mobility Engineering is safety, and that's something that we really are passionate about. And as you can probably tell from this video and the way I'm talking, we're also very passionate about this for wheelchair occupants. Now, let's get into the more technical side of things, now that my rant is over. Okay. So, the first point is the Australian standard for wheelchair tie-downs and wheelchair occupants. It's AS 10542.1, and I'll put a link to that below. You may need to purchase it, but I'll put a link to where to get it from below. That specifically states that the wheelchair occupant must be restrained by a 3-point belt, and it even shows you where the belt needs to be mounted and so on. So it's a very specific standard. Now, there's been a bit of a counter-argument to that in the public, which says, or maybe not public, but more industry, which says, but that's not a mandatory standard, so I don't have to comply with it. I understand that it's not a mandatory standard, it's not written in any laws, but the standard was not written for no reason. The standard was written as a guiding principle to our industry. So to use that excuse of, it's not written in the laws, is a little bit of a weak excuse in my opinion. The standard is there, we need to follow it. That is best practice, and that's what we need to do. That's why the standard has been created. There is multiple standards for multiple different products, and doesn't mean that they're all in legislation, but we need to be following them. They are Australian standards that are built by Australians for Australians, so we need to follow that. The next thing, which then kind of ties it up a bit, is the federal road rules and the state road rules. It basically says that an approved seatbelt you must be restrained by an approved seatbelt, and then it says that an approved seatbelt is one that has been fitted and is in accordance with the relevant Australian design rules, so ADRs, and I'll put a link to Australian design rules below. And what the Australian design rules say, Australian design rule number 5, and it's been like this for well over 15 years, is that all vehicles must have lap and sash seatbelts, all seating positions, right? And again, sometimes people might say, but the wheelchair occupant is not a seating position because it's not a seat in the car. Again, my opinion is that is completely untrue. There is a person sitting in a transit-approved wheelchair. That is their seating position. It may not be a standard factory vehicle seating position, but that is their seating position. And the Australian design will require that sitting position has an over-the-shoulder lap and safe seatbelt. And the road rule requires for them to use that seatbelt in that manner. So if they have a lap-only belt, which we are still seeing delivered in 2019, which in my opinion completely unacceptable, then technically it's illegal. So we highly recommend that you review the practices if you are in the industry of prescription or looking at what transport, and look at what you're doing, because you need to make sure that you always have over-the-shoulder lap and safe seatbelts. If you are delivered a vehicle or if you're purchasing a vehicle and they are offering you a lap-only belt, don't accept it. That's my bottom line. Basically say we want over-the-shoulder lap and safe occupant protection. You deserve it, everybody deserves it, everyone deserves the highest level of safety available, and we're very passionate about that. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. We love those questions. Keep them coming in. We're going to put links to all the standards below. There's also a whole bunch of different standards, state-based standards, all that kind of stuff that points to the fact that we need lap-safe seatbelts. So keep those questions coming. Hit that subscribe button down there, and see you next time.